Hey, it's LLhoops, Del Jackson. We have special guest here, Nebiy Esayas. I think I got the last name pronounced correctly. I do follow Nebiy on Twitter, and we wanted to talk to him about his career a little bit. We met at a game at Hershey, and we talked last year, and I was poking him a little bit on the Twitter. It's like, hey, let's get an interview here, and so here we are. How you doing, Nebiy?
Del, I'm doing amazingly. First and foremost, Happy New Year to you, my good friend. I remember when we first met at a Hershey basketball game. I was a rookie in this reporting gig here. Now, come to believe it, it'll be 2 years since I've been with PennLive as a sports reporter in March. I started March 7th, which is the day after my birthday. I started at 24 years old. I'll be 26 on March 6th. And everything has been going well, my friend. Just attending these nightly basketball games. Basketball is always the best time of the year. And doing what I love and loving what I do.
Nice. Hey, let's talk about how you got into this. I always ask people, it's like, how did you get into your career? What colleges did you go? I know you and I talked about this a little bit when we talked at Hershey, and I know you've gone on and done some cool stuff in your education. So go ahead and give us some of your background.
Well, sure. I'm from Harrisburg, born and raised in the Allison Hill community. I played for the Harrisburg Cougars, actually. I started 2011, graduated in 2015. I actually played with Jihad Proctor, who went on to Iona, then High Point, and Purdue University, where he graduated from. Furthermore, I got my undergraduate degree in communications and broadcast journalism from the Bowie State University, Maryland's oldest HBCU. For those who are unaware, an HBCU is a historically Black college and/or university. Got my Support Black Colleges hoodie on.
I like it.
I graduated from there. Yeah, I graduated from there at the start of the pandemic in 2020. From there, I came back home to Harrisburg in search of a job pertaining to video editing or journalism, because while I was at Bowie State, I did a lot of video editing for the football team and made reporter packages and shot a lot of the film of on-campus events. Unfortunately, I couldn't find a job in my career field for the first 6 months after graduating from undergrad, and I was in a bit of a rut, but I kept my faith strong. And a friend of mine by the name of Jimmy Brown, who's from Harrisburg and went to Bishop McDevitt High School, he and I were catching up, and I was like, hey, buddy, is PennLive hiring right now? I'd be interested in a position with them. And he told me they weren't hiring at the moment. This was December of 2021, but he sent my resume over to his superiors anyway, and that's what he did. And I got a call from the vice president of content at PennLive by the name of Burke Noel. He called me in January and offered me a job and told me upon that they also wanted to offer me a fellowship opportunity to pay for me to get my master's degree from Syracuse University. So I began with PennLive on March 7th of 2021. I started classes with Syracuse on April 7th of 2021, finished a 2.5-year program in 15 months. I did an accelerated program and got my communications degree, my master's of communications degree in digital media and journalism innovation from the Newhouse School of Public Communication. So I graduated last May from there, and life has been amazing, my brother, just trotting along and just trying to be the best reporter I can be.
Wow. Another Syracuse media guy. I mean, maybe we'll see you on ESPN down the road, because all those guys are from Syracuse. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Speaking of Syracuse, we'll go off script. Did you watch that game last night?
I actually did not. I was at a Trinity and East Pennsboro boys basketball game last night. Usually I'll catch the highlights the next morning, but I haven't gotten to it.
It was the late game against Carolina. So they were up, and the Cuse had some mess ups at the end. One of the players saved a ball underneath his basket and right to a Carolina guy, and the Carolina guy dunked it. And then they went down on the other end, and they had like a 3-on-3, and the guy just plowed into a guy, and he raised his elbow, cut the kid in the face. So they called a flagrant, and Carolina went on to win. But it was a wild ending. I just caught the last 2 minutes of the game. I was out last night too. Let's just talk about what you do for PennLive. I mean, you're covering basketball. You and I talked off camera about what your columns are and what your things are. So let's talk about what you do, let's say on a weekly basis.
Mm-hmm. On a weekly basis, depending on the season, I'm covering different sports. So I cover all the high school sports in the area. In the fall, you can catch me covering football. Field hockey was also my main beat. I did the Mid Penn Field Hockey All-Stars for the entire season, covered the state championships, district championships, and things of that sort. And it was fun. I learned a lot about that sport. Covered football, was at the state championships with my team. Eric Epler, Daniel Sostic, TJ Smith, Jimmy, and those guys. Currently, I'm the main point guy for our high school boys basketball in the Mid Penn Conference. So you'll see me going out to games about 3 nights a week, and I'll do the game reports, and I'll also write feature stories on the athletes to share their stories and help them get exposure in college offers if they don't have any at the moment. Some guys I've written features on this year alone are like Tristan Waters from Bishop McDevitt High School, who's a class of 2023 senior standout guard, in my opinion, the most skilled guard in the Mid Penn Conference. Then you got Braden Shrewsbury from State College High School, who's committed to playing at Penn State University for his father, Micah Shrewsbury. I've done feature stories on him and have spoken with him. He's a great kid. Then you got kids like J.D. Hunter, who's a glue guy for Cumberland Valley, and he'll tell you himself he's not the best basketball player on the hardwood, but he's tough as nails, and he'll stand up, take the charge, he'll dive on the floor for the loose ball, box out, rebound, and run. And he's the main reason why Cumberland Valley has been able to jump out to the start that they had this season. Unfortunately, they sustained a loss to State College last night, their first loss of the year in the Mid Penn Commonwealth Conference. And in part, that may be due to their standout center, Jackson Boone, who suffered a season-ending injury. He tore a ligament in his knee. So State College's big guys kind of carried a lot of that load. Nonetheless, like I said, I'm the main point guy for high school boys basketball coverage. And in the spring, you'll see me covering volleyball, track and field, swimming, things of that sort. So I'm all over the place, man.
Let me ask you this, because again, the basketball is so regional. It's crazy. I mean, we got LL guys, we got the Berks guys, we got the York guys, we got the Mid Penn, and they don't seem to mix too much until we get to the districts. So help our followers here in the LL. Like, how do we get to see your work as opposed to buying a Patriot News?
For the most part, all of our work is published regularly on PennLive's website, but we're always publishing a lot of our stuff on our social medias, Facebook, Twitter. I've become extremely active on Twitter. And what I'll do after games is take my tripod out with me like I'm on an actual news segment and interview the players and do videos with them that I can embed into my stories to get them more of that exposure and FaceTime, so people can actually put a name to the face and hear their voices and their stories. But yeah, a lot of our stories on PennLive are subscriber exclusive. And I believe if you enter through these apps, like I mentioned on social media, like Facebook and Twitter, there's a way around it. But if you're trying to log in from a desktop or a laptop, you got to purchase one of those subscriptions. That's kind of a way we generate revenue with our company.
Sure. We got to pay the bills. So if I want to subscribe, which I need to do, to PennLive, is there different plans, or is it per month, or how does that work?
So at the moment, I don't want to misspeak, but I believe you can sign up for a free subscription. I believe it's for a 7-day trial for free. Yeah. Afterward, it's a payment. I believe it's $5.99 or $6.99 per month, or you can do an annual fee of I'm not sure how much it is per year. My subscription, that comes with my me being an employee. But yeah, we have a monthly access fee that we charge. It's no more than the cost of having a Netflix account.
Yeah, that's a pretty good. That's a nice fee that people, I know the Patriot does all sorts of different things, and I'm interested, obviously, in following you and the hoops. So let's get into the Mid Penn, because again, the followers that I have, we kind of look at the power ratings, but we don't know the names. And you've already thrown out some names, so let's start with the biggest classification, which I never can get right in the Mid Penn, because you guys got like all these names and Commonwealth and Keystone, and I can't keep it straight. I mean, the LL, we got 1, bigger schools 2, second biggest schools 3, the third biggest schools, and then 4. We're down to 4 now, and in the small school. So let's start at the top conference. Give me the name. Give me some good things that are going on there.
Well, we'll start with the Mid Penn Commonwealth. So in the Mid Penn Commonwealth, you got teams like State College, Cumberland Valley, CD East, Harrisburg, who used to be an Empire. Unfortunately, all empires have their decline, but I have faith in former Harrisburg state champion, 1998 state champion, Damone Maxwell, who succeeded my former coach, Kirk Smallwood, as the head coach at Harrisburg. And I know he'll restore the program back to dominance soon. He just needs a few years. But at the top of the Mid Penn Commonwealth, you had Cumberland Valley. I believe them and State College will be tied now for that #1 spot. Also, in addition to what I'm telling you, we release PennLive's Mid Penn Fab 5 rankings each and every week on Mondays or on Tuesday mornings. And so we'll rank the best teams in the Mid Penn amongst all the Mid Penn Commonwealth, Keystone, Colonial, and Capital divisions. So I told you 2 of the best teams in the Mid Penn Commonwealth. Moving on to the Capital, which is very competitive, and I think one of the best divisions in the Mid Penn Conference this year. You got Trinity at the top, who's undefeated in conference play. I believe they're 10-0 now in the conference, and they're 14-2 overall with the win against East Pennsboro last night, where their freshman guard, Reese Brown, scored 18 points off the bench and had his first in-game dunk. You got Owen Schlager, who's arguably the best scoring guard in the Mid Penn. He dropped 37 points the other night against Susquehanna Township, 30 points alone in the first half. The kid plays like Stephen Curry. He possesses a level of confidence I don't think I've seen in a high school player as young as him. Don't know if you followed the Mid Penn in years past, but I played in the 2011 to 2015 era. The youngest duo from Trinity at the time were Dominic Antonelli and Josh Trumpy, and those guys were sophomores who were getting the job done for Larry Kostelak. And Owen Schlager reminds me of those guys with a young player with an older player's mentality. So he's very dominant. You got Mike Bednostin on that team, who's from the Ukraine, a 6'11" center, very skilled and can rebound the ball well and good footwork. And you have an Adelph Cisse, who's a 6'7" forward from the Congo, the Democratic Republic of the Congo. Very, very agile, athletic, looking to guard every team's best ball handler, forcing turnovers. Triple-double type guy. He had a double-double last night. He had a double-double against Bishop McDevitt. The kid can do it all. He's a stretch point forward. So many guys on that team there. Then you got Bishop McDevitt, Tristan Waters, who I say and I feel is the best shooting guard in the Mid Penn. He and Braden Shrewsbury are neck and neck. Tristan can stop on the dime. He has footwork like Kobe Bryant. He can shoot the ball off the glass. He can jam on your head if he beats you off the screen. He's a spot-up shooter, and he's the vocalist. He does everything that Mark Risser asks for from that Bishop McDevitt basketball team. You got South Carolina football commit Tyshawn Russell, who shot and made 7 threes the first time they played Trinity before losing to Trinity by 20 points. McDevitt led by as many as 10 in that game. Trinity jumped out to an 18-0 run to start the fourth quarter, ended up defeating McDevitt by 20 points. But Tyshawn Russell can give you 30 a night. He can give you 20 points. If he's open, he's shooting and he'll attack aggressively. So, yeah, McDevitt is very good. Mechanicsburg is a team that's been very slept on, and they were not really on our radar at the beginning of the year. But Mechanicsburg is currently 11-4 as of yesterday. I didn't check the power rankings this morning, but they got guys like don't want to miss their names. I put them on my off the radar team, but they got some guys that can really score the ball well. Josh Smith is a guard who's been playing extremely well for them. He scored 26 points against Mifflin County to help them beat them 71-47. You got his teammate Chance Janowski, who is also like his other splash brother. They work so extremely well in the backcourt. So you got teams and guys like those. You got kids like Mason Blazer from Middletown who weren't really on our radar to start the year off. And so that's why we made a PennLive's mid-season off-the-radar boys basketball team, just to give these kids some credit. I covered a kid by the name of Darrell Everett from East Pennsboro last night, who's just a sophomore, but is the speediest, most crafty guard in the Mid Penn. He's just quick, he's agile, and he can get up and down the floor. He's a little guy that can jump, about 5'8", 5'9". But yeah, we got a lot of great competition. You got teams like Paul Myra who are a bit steady. You got teams that are rebuilding like Central Dauphin, who lost Donovan Hill last season to Niagara. He's a Division I commit. But Wayne Fletcher, who's the coach of Central Dauphin, his son Wayne Fletcher II is a sophomore guard. He's very, very streaky, can score the ball well, give you double digits each night, and is fearless, can attack the rim. So the Mid Penn is extremely competitive. And you just got a bunch of players that go at it, man, whether it be in the Commonwealth, the Capital, Keystone, or the Capital. So
yeah, we saw this past weekend we were live streaming for NFHS and we saw McDevitt, we saw Lower Dolphin, we saw CD, Middletown. So we saw some of these guys that you were talking about, which kind of makes sense now that you are talking about them. What how does the Mid Penn league playoffs work?
So ultimately, after the regular season is through, you get the best teams from all four divisions in the Mid Penn Conference to play in the Mid Penn playoffs. I believe you have to win 2 games in order to make it to the Mid Penn final. So again, you have the Colonial, Capital, Keystone, and Commonwealth. And ultimately, the best teams from those, the top teams from those divisions all face off against one another. And then in the end, you have the champion from the Commonwealth and the Capital, or the Keystone and the Colonial, depending on who wins, face off in the Mid Penn final right before the district playoffs begin. So last year we had Shippensburg and Cedar Cliff go at it, and Cedar Cliff beat Shippensburg in the Mid Penn conference championship game. So those are the Mid Penn champions.
Okay, I know. I know. Here in the LL, the finals are something else. I mean, people really get geared up, and I also know that it doesn't seem to be as big a thing in the Mid Penn because you guys have so many different classifications. And I call it the big boy division. They're looking down the road to say, hey, what do we got to do to beat Reading? And sometimes those games, and on our end too, sometimes the games aren't the best as far as competitive, but it gives people a chance. And I know at least here, we've switched things a little bit where we don't have a lot of playoff. They used to play off for first place. If we had a first place tie, they would play. They don't do that anymore. They just take right now we're 8 teams and we have an 8-team tournament, and all the teams kind of funnel in. They switch it every year, so it's like 1 versus 3 one year, and the next year be 1 versus 4. So they flip things around, so you're not playing the same teams every year, which is good. And then the second round, the semifinals sometimes are on neutrals, and I think that's a good thing. They play the champion. The first place team always has a home game the first round, kind of like in districts. The higher seed just gets that. And
exactly.
I think I've been around a lot longer than you, but I think it's a good thing. I like the home court. I always like the neutral court, but it makes sense because we're not getting those gyms filled, and then they got to pay. The district loses money when it comes, even when we go to the finals. You and I are sitting there at the finals, and there might be 2,000 people there, and the District 3 is going to lose money on that. But that being said, everybody's goal is to get one of them Hershey Kisses. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Down the road. I mean, that's the goal. Absolutely.
I can remember when I played Dell. Exactly. So my year when I played in the Commonwealth. The first round we faced a Capital team, Still High. We played them at Milton Hershey Spartan Complex. We beat Still High. Then we played the winner of the Colonial and the Keystone, which was Cedar Cliff, and we played Cedar Cliff for the Mid Penn championship title at CD East High School in Harrisburg. Yep. So you have to win 2 games in order to be the Mid Penn champion.
Let me ask you this. I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit, but we do this with my writer Andy a lot. We kind of look at our teams where they're at right now. I mean, we're only 3 weeks out before we start playing league playoffs and district playoffs. But I know, for example, Trinity's got to be heads on tails favorite to win their section. I think they're running to Columbia if all goes well. I think that's my understanding if I have the classifications right. So what other teams in the Mid Penn that you think can make a nice run here in the districts and get to states and even maybe win a couple games in the states or have a shot to go all the way?
Well, certainly at full strength, I felt like this year Cumberland Valley is the best I've ever seen since I've been watching high school basketball and covering high school basketball. But like I said, with the loss of a Jackson Boone, that kind of changes the trajectory of their postseason run, in my opinion, a bit. Still think they have a chance, but not as confidently as I do about Trinity. Trinity is the best all-around put-together team, I believe, in the Mid Penn. I don't have them ranked over like a team like Cumberland Valley or State College just yet because I feel like the Commonwealth is the most competitive division in the Mid Penn Conference that we had the most They have the most talented guys, in my opinion. Nonetheless, when it comes to making a postseason run, going to districts and states, Trinity is a team that I can confidently say I think will win some games because on paper they look good and on the floor they look even better. State College is a team who can win some district games. Waynesboro is a team that's going to shock a lot of people. Waynesboro this year, if I'm not mistaken, so far our 15-1 as of yesterday. I had them ranked first in the PennLive Mid Penn Fab Five boys rankings yesterday. They got a kid named Jalen Bean who just plays extremely well, and he's just a tall, lanky guy that can score and does it all for the team. You got Cooper Hugh, Ryan Schaefer, and Tanyan Shaw, who all put up double digits almost every single night. So Waynesboro is a team for the last 2 years in District 3 Class 6A basketball that has been shocking a lot of people. And you got Bishop McDevitt. My only fear with Bishop McDevitt, and I spoke to Mark Risser about this a few times, is they struggle a bit closing out games. I told you they had a 5-point lead over Trinity and gave up an 18-0 run to start the fourth quarter, and the game just changed within the blink of an eye like that. If McDevitt can find the recipe to success in locking down their matchups and just playing consistently throughout all four quarters, I think they have a chance because they have some athletic guys on their team and they're solid all around.
Yeah. Have you seen any of our LL teams up there?
I haven't really paid attention to LL this year, to be honest with you. Last year, I saw you guys had a really nice kid on Lampeter Stroudsburg, that guard that was dropping 40 points on cats in the playoff games.
Yeah, that was Ty Burton. He's at IMG.
Ty Burton.
He transferred out. Hey, speaking about transfer, let me ask you this, because our league's going through it a little bit. Is there a lot of kids that are underclassmen, maybe bigger kids that are really good players that transfer out to go to some prep schools? I mean, we had a big article on this down here. The LMP wrote a nice article on it about kids going to these prep schools and, chasing the dream to get a D1 scholarship. Does that happen a lot in the Mid Penn or not?
Certainly. We've seen a lot of that in years past, more recently than others. This season alone, Still High had a standout guard by the name of Kaba Murray. I believe he's a sophomore last season, but he transferred off to a prep school. Can't recall which prep school he's at. Not sure if it's the Scotland school, but you got guys like James Moore, who's a Harrisburg native, played at Harrisburg his first year. He went to the St. Patrick's School in New Jersey. He's currently at that school up there. What's the name of the school? He's playing with my man who went to Central Dauphin as well. I don't know why his name's not coming to me right now. Malachi Palmer. Malachi Palmer and James Moore are playing prep school ball right now. You had a kid from Central Dauphin by the name of Jaden Loudermilch who transferred to a prep school. Malachi Palmer was actually in Arizona at an Arizona prep school, and now he's back up north over this way. But yeah, you got a few guys who leave, like you said, in hopes of chasing that dream and aspirations of playing at the next level. Maybe because they feel like they can't get it at the programs that they initially were in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just glancing right now as we're talking. I'm just glancing at the power rankings right now, and we talked about Trinity, but there's a team down here that is not very big, but they play crazy well, and they won the districts last year. I think Trinity dropped down this year or up, one or the other, because Columbia and Trinity, I think they're headed for head-to-head down the road.
No, they're in the same class. They're both Class 3A. Currently,
yeah,
Columbia's.
They are this year, but I don't think they were last year. I think they were different because they didn't run into each other last year, and maybe they got knocked out early, but I know Columbia won the districts last year because we were up there. I'm looking at the 4A real quick, and it looks like McDevitt. Yeah, and then Berks Catholic's very, very good. I mean,
extremely good.
They're probably going to be heads and shoulders above everybody come the district. So
I remember Berks Catholic had the Jack brothers, Donovan Jack, and what was the other kid's name? Yeah. They were like class of 2012 and 14.
Yeah. When one team, I'm looking at the LL guys. Octorara, I'm going to see them this week. They're pretty good. They're scary. They have a big guy that's really good, and they have a guard that's really good. 5A, I'm looking Mechanicsburg, and then we got Oh, Nebiy.
No, Hershey.
I mean, yeah, but I'm looking at our guys. We got Mannheim Central first,
Yeah.
LS is second, Mechanicsburg is third, and Warwick is fourth. So there's a lot of LL guys there. And the first Mid Penn is Milton Hershey. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the
You
big
got two.
Go ahead.
No, I'm saying you got 2 Mid Penn teams and 3 LL teams there in the top 5.
Yep. Yep. So we'll definitely probably be running into each other when the playoffs come. And then the last thing I'm looking at, you already talked about who does Waynesboro play?
So Waynesboro is in the Mid Penn Colonial Division. Waynesboro plays teams like Shippensburg. I believe they play teams like Big Spring, Boiling Springs, Greencastle, Northern York. Those are the Mid Penn Colonial guys. So the guys sort of up there on 81 North, so to speak.
Okay. So they're not all in all, they're not playing all 6A teams all the time.
No, they're not always playing 6A teams.
Okay. And I think, the beast there is Reading. They're just
Reading is amazing, man.
They're heading
Reading is I think they're 18-0 right now.
Yep, they're 18-0. I know Wilson can give them a game because they have in the past if they play them. We have a team down here, Hempfield, that can also kind of play that style, that slow grind them out style that could give them a game. But I mean, I'm just glancing at it. I would think they'd be head and shoulders above, and 5A is going to be interesting, I believe. And Berks Catholic's probably head and shoulders a little bit in the 4As, and in the AAA, I think we're headed for a Columbia Trinity showdown. I really believe that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So let me ask you this: do you have any questions of us?
Who's your standout guys in the LL this year? I mean, is it the front court? Is it the back court? Because this year in the Mid Penn, it's the year of the guard, man. Like I told you, those top 3 guards in my book are Owen Schlager, Tristan Waters, and Braden Shrewsbury. Those are the top 3 I got.
Well, let me tell you, the LL, we've had some big guys, but they don't last long in our league. They go off, they go play someplace else. So we lost a couple of 6'10" kids the last couple of years. So it's guards and more guards. I mean, I saw last night. I saw Hempfield, who's very good. They have a good record, and they are their biggest guy is 6'5".
Okay.
On a stretch, but they're all like 6'1", 6'2", 6'1". They're all across the lane. So if you got little teeny weeny guards, you're going to have a hard time getting your shot off because they got a 6'1" guy that can dunk sitting right in front of them. So Miguel Pena is very good for Hempfield. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. We had the Burton kid, but he was gone. LS had a kid named Ben Wirt that was really talented, but he blew out his knee about 2 weeks ago. So he's out. He's out for the season. He would be one of the guys that we would look at. I'm just trying to roll through my head real quick. We have a real nice guard at McCaskey named Jonathan Bird.
Okay, I was gonna say when I played, McCaskey was always at the top of the LL. I played with Kobe Gantz and those guys. So
they have not done as well as far as records recently, but Jonathan he's one of these guards that have been I don't know. He's been a 4-year starter, and he's more like a true point guard and one of these guys that's going to put up a lot of points. I know. All right. So Mannheim Central 5A has a kid named Trey Groove. And Trey Groove just set the record for the most threes in a career for the LL.
He's a football guy too, right?
That I don't know. I don't know if he plays football. I don't know, but he's 5'10", 5'11", shoots the heck out of the ball, averaging like 20 some points a game. He's probably one of our top players. Octorara has they have the Hamilton 6'5" center. And then they have another guy. Oh boy, I'm thinking real quick here. That's very super talented. I'll get his name in a second. I haven't seen them enough. Zach Kirk, I should know that. Number 3, where he's a junior And he is very talented. Elijah Hamilton is the center. He's 6'5". He's getting some low D1 looks, possibly for possibly prep school. We'll see where he goes up. And Columbia is just solid, but I will give you this name for Lancaster Mennonite, who I think will make a run in the districts and possibly the states. They got two guys. One is David Weaver. Weaver, he's 6'7". He doesn't jump real well, but I saw him against Steel High, and he had 14 block shots.
Wow.
Yeah, and he's just kind of a solid kid. He's a lefty, posts well, uses his body well, and I think in the AA he's gonna be a handful, at least in the district. And the other kid that's very, very, very good is Camden Hurst, and he had a broken left hand earlier in the year, and he should be back for the last Columbia game. At least that's what I heard. So. Guard City, buddy.
How's Manheim Township doing this year in basketball?
Township's down. They're not having a good year. They lost last night to Hempfield. We were up that game. They lost by 6, but they've struggled. They've had some injuries, and they're very, very young. So in our sections right now, they're pretty well in the LL. You never want to say it's done, but it looks like the slots for the district for the LLs are pretty well
finalized.
Yeah, the only one that's up in the air is Section 1. You got Hempfield kind of rolling, but then you got McCaskey's 1 game back. Cedar Crest is 1 game back of them. Penn Manor was in that mix, but they lost last night to Cedar Crest. So it looks like McCaskey has to play Hempfield again, and they have to play Cedar Crest. So our second slot will be those guys, and they might not even get into districts because the 6A's got 12, and they're like on the edge of the the power rankings. So anyway,
I only asked about Manheim Township because I covered one of the kids during football season when they came to Cumberland Valley. Had him on our PA High School Football Report podcast too, with my editor Brian Linder. Landon Kennel, he's a football player and a basketball player.
Yeah,
so
yeah, he played last night. Yep.
Okay.
He played last night. They have a nice guard. Henson's his name. He's like 6'1", 6'2". He's a junior, so he had 21 last night. Him and Pena kind of went head to head. So, hey, I love chatting with you. I will see you at Hershey, if nothing else. We will be there, and I'm sure you will be there. And if nothing else, we can share some war stories. But for everybody that's following PennLive, you can get on there, you subscribe, and follow Nebiy. I'm on that Twitter all the time, and I love the stuff you do. You do a lot of the things that we do, but you do more in depth than we do. I like getting the interviews and stuff, but you got the player stats, and it's like, here's my story, and it's like, it's awesome. So thank you so much for being with us. Stay in touch.
Yes, sir. Del, thank you so much for having me on. For those listening, you can follow me on Twitter at _Nebiy_. Nebiy is spelled Nebiy. And I hope to see you out there at Hershey, the Giant Center, and talk some good basketball over with you, my friend. It's always good talking to you.
Yeah. I have in the post, I have your Twitter, so everybody can go right to the Twitter then.
Perfect.
All right, buddy. Thank you.